So we got about 5 minutes. Do you have any questions about anything going on in class so far? You guys can turn your cameras on so I can see your lovely faces. So anybody have anything interesting to say? Is anybody awake yet? All right, everybody's cameras on? So we got a few more minutes before we start class. Any questions about what's going on in class? Any suggestions? Everybody having a fun time? No. What's wrong, Jade? Not having a good time in my business 109 class?
I'm just tired and stressed with my other classes.
Yeah, how are your other classes going? About the same amount of work, or a little bit more, a little bit less?
A lot of reading for sure.
A lot of reading, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is about professors. They think you'd have nothing better to do than read a bunch of stuff. Writing in single space is killing you. Come on, Carlos. It's one page. But double space is only half as much. Come on. You can't get a complete thought out in double space. I'm just trying to make it like the real world when you get out of school. Your boss is not going to know the difference between single space and double space anyway. So. All right. So it's 9 o'clock. We got 60 out of 90. So let's give us a few more minutes. So Dennis is marking down everybody who's late now, right? No, wait, Dennis is late. He's not even here.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. I'll make you co-host. There you go. All right, so we're live on YouTube and we're recording. So probably this week I will get all that stuff so you can access the classes on the iLearn. Bullet points, that's such a waste of space, I tell you. All right. Shall we get started? Yeah, okay. Karen says, yes, get this over with. Get me the hell out of here. All right. Dennis, let anybody in the waiting room that comes in, please. Yeah, marketing pros don't know anything, I tell you. You know, it's funny because I get calls from marketing people all the time wanting to do stuff for my business. And I always ask them, if you can tell me what blue ocean is, I'll give you all my money for marketing. Not one of them can ever tell me what blue ocean is. And it's something that UCR loves to teach you guys, especially in graduate school. All right, let's get started. So good morning. Welcome to Business 109. What are we doing today? Chapter 3, Disneyland, everybody's favorite, right? How many Disney fans do we have out here? Yeah? Who likes Disneyland? Come on, everybody loves Disneyland. It's the happiest place in the world, right? On Earth. All right, let's scroll down and see all the sleeping people down here. Brooke, are you asleep? Are you awake? What's going on? Turn the camera on. All right. Chat. It is not perfectly common throughout the business world. Nobody knows what it is. Omar's just looking for an argument today. No. All right. So let's get started with a slide presentation, shall we? All right. So today is week 2. We're going to talk about assignments, do's and don'ts. I've been correcting some of your assignments. Some of you have done some, most everybody did a really good job, and some people didn't. We'll go over some of the things that we need to do. Not a real big deal or anything. I just want to make sure that you guys are clear of what needs to be done. Okay, and then we're going to talk about chapter 3, the value chain, strengths and weaknesses. There's I know we talked about the SWOT model, but there's also a diamond model. We're going to talk about that for competitive advantage. Then what's new, and then questions and answer later on today. Okay, so on the mini quiz paper, do use a current article you read recently. Some people used Walmart, some people used the IBM. I want you to actually find something, read something new every week. It doesn't have to be a big, long article, just a blurb. Go to New York Times, LA Times, online, CNN, Fox Business, Yahoo Business. Do use the template that I put there. A lot of you didn't format your papers correctly. I just want to keep them very easy, formatted, easy to read, especially when Dennis is doing all your correcting. So everything you can do to make it easy on Dennis to read those 100 papers, the better. Do use the concepts from the book, and please make it clear which concept you are using. A lot of you people didn't say what you're doing until the 3rd, 4th paragraph. A lot of times you only did one paragraph. So use the proper format, which is the template. Do one full page of content. Some people did like 6 bullet points and a little bit of content. Some people did half a page. I want you to do a full page. It's not that much writing to do. It shouldn't take you that long. Just read an article and talk about it. Do get to the point rather quickly. State your purpose in the first paragraph. A lot of people didn't state their purpose until the last paragraph. When I'm reading this, I want to know what I'm reading. I want to know what you're talking about. Okay. Don't regurgitate the stuff we already did, like IBM. A few people just regurgitated what we talked about on IBM. Okay. Don't give me a history lesson on the company, especially Amazon, Tesla, IBM. It's very much common knowledge. I don't need a whole history lessons from the 1800s to the 2000s. Don't regurgitate the definitions from the book. I know them. I read them several times over. I've taught them several times over. So I know the definitions. You don't need to remind me what they are. I know them. Okay. Don't plagiarize. One paper had 89% on the safe assign, no more than 10%. Most people were right around 0 and under 5%. And that's only because they restated a question. So most of the time you should be 0, 1, 2, or 3%, nothing higher than that. Okay, I will allow up to 10%. So no plagiarism. Many of you wrote about the COVID, which was really good, how it's affected our communities and the companies. So that was very good, but the problem is you didn't really elaborate on it too much other than, the COVID's affected the way we do business. How has it affected the way we do business? For example, Zoom. Zoom is taking off during this time because they're reliable and easy to use. The features they needed are free for the most part, and upgrade to Pro, and they offered an upgrade. What I use is the Pro upgrade because I have more than, I have 100 students. It only does something like 30 or 40 people at a time. I can't remember what the free version is. So the reason Zoom has done so well during this time is because they were organized and had the infrastructure to start off with that allowed them to grow, okay, and meet the demands that was going on. Okay, all right. A few of you received a note. It said "see me," so see me because 1, you turned in the wrong paper. 2, you didn't do something correctly, and I just want to make sure you do it. So see me and we will talk about it, and there's no penalty or anything. I just want you to make sure, I want to make sure you know what you're doing so we don't have this problem in the future. All right. So see me after class, and then I have to leave early. So my office hours are going to be limited. So it's just going to be the first 10 minutes. Okay, review. So we talked about the SWOT last week, the Porter's 5 forces, threat of new entries, buyer power, threat of substitutions, supplier power, and competitive rivalry. We will expand on that a little bit more. And strategy is not so much what you do, is what sometimes you don't do. All right. So the SWOT, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Remember, the strengths and weaknesses are internal evaluation of the company, and the opportunities and threats come from the external part of the company. Okay, so externally, you're going to get opportunities that present themselves either through economic things like the COVID, like how Zoom capitalized on those opportunities created by COVID, and then threats, some of the companies that didn't do so well because of COVID. Okay, so those are external threats. So remember, strategic management is competitive advantage. All right, knowing what makes markets to compete in or not to compete in, when to get out. What unique value the firm will offer in those markets, the resources and capabilities, blah, blah, blah. Ways to sustain the advantage by preventing imitation, okay? So you wanna make a product that people are not easily going to imitate, okay? We spoke about Porter's 5, the threat of new entries, time and cost of entry. You want to make it as costly and as hard to enter a market as possible when you have that. So you want barriers to entry, and you want to create a big barrier to entry. For example, in the airline industry, it's very, very expensive to create an airline. So that is a barrier, so not everybody can do it. Competitive rivalry, number of competitors. You want to keep as few competitors as possible, and you want to make the switching costs from your product to another product very costly, like they do with CRM software. So when a company spends millions of dollars investing in software, they're not just going to come to the next guy that comes knocking on the door saying, hey, our software is better. It might be better, might work a lot more efficient, but the company's not going to spend another $500,000, $1 million investing in that type of equipment. Buyer power, number of customers, size of each order, difference between the competitors, like in the CRM. There are competitors out there, but it's so costly to switch. So the number of the competitors are going to be not as many, and they're going to be price sensitive, okay, when the customers come to the buying power. Okay. Number of supplier power, number of suppliers, size of suppliers. So the fewer suppliers you have, the more you can control costs, the higher price you can get, the higher profit you can make. For example, utility companies. They're regulated by the government, but they have no competition and they can pretty much get away with charging whatever they want. Okay. And then threats of substitute performance, cost of change. Okay, your book, we had a little blurb in your book about Disneyland, the happiest place in the world, right? Happiest place on earth. So internal analysis, know your strategies, weakness, and competitive advantage. What does Disney do better than anybody else? Go ahead, shout it out. Don't be shy today. David, what does Disney do better than anybody else?
The whole concept of having a fun experience. They're good at immersing people into a fun experience.
Absolutely. So they have state-of-the-art equipment, just what you said, right?
Exactly.
No, it's down there. Yes, exactly. Disneyland provides a unique experience that you cannot get anywhere else in the world, right? Well, except for the other Disney worlds or Disneylands. So in the US, we have Disneyland in Anaheim and Disneyland in Florida, Orlando. Okay. Their innovation in the industry, so all of the technologies that they bring into creating this unique experience. What else do they do?
They're creative when designing or making new characters. That's one of the things I had read in the book.
Absolutely. And what did Disney Brothers do? So the creativity part, the Technicolor, they did the Snow White in color when most TV shows probably didn't even do color until the 50s, 60s. So they're a good decade ahead of their time. They had a multiplane camera, which created a different effect that wasn't being used at the time. Okay, Fantasia. In the surround sound, they came up with the first surround sound, 50 years before anybody put it in the theaters or anything of that nature. And what the thing about the two Disney brothers is that they knew their value chain. They knew what they had to offer. They knew how their company was, and they knew what to do. Okay. In this chapter, we're going to talk about the value chain quite a bit. This is Porter's value chain. So you have primary value activities, and for example, in manufacturing, you have inbound of raw goods. You have the operations to turn those raw goods into products, and the outbound logistics, you're shipping the products to distribution centers or directly to the customers or to wholesalers. And then you marketing and sales of the product and the service that comes after the product. And the support or secondary value activities, you have the firm's infrastructure, which is the accounting department, the human resources department, the IT department, which is technology, and procurement. Okay. So we'll go into more depth on those. The different types of industries basically is broken up into service and manufacturing, restaurants, accounting, personal fitness training, health clubs. Those are all service type industries. And then the list goes on and on. There's an infinite list. You can split it up many different ways, and they do. And we'll go over that later in your book. Manufacturing, cars, for example, household appliance, you're manufacturing washers and dryers, dishwashers, many other things, computers, sporting equipment. So these are tangible things that you create, okay, from raw materials. The different types of industry, and then these get split up many different ways. Okay, the technology industry alone gets split up several different ways. All right, so the value chain, a visual description of the steps required to turn raw materials into finished products and or services. The value chain also describes key functions of the firm linked to each stage and functions that span the productivity activities of the firm. All right, so this is what a little bit more detailed value chain looks like. In the purple here, you will see all of this is done just for profit, okay? So you got the primary activities down here, inbound logistics, quality control, receiving, all of this stuff, manufacturing, outbound logistics, sales and marketing, and service, okay? So the service comes after the product is with the end user. The administrative is legal, accounting, financial management, human resources, everything from personnel to staffing to onboarding. Product technology development, everything that you need, R&D is in that, IT is in that, and then procurement, supplier management, funding, subcontracting, and specialization. And we'll go into a little bit deeper into these as we go along. Okay, so this is the manufacturing value chain. It's a little bit more extensive. You take the raw materials and intermediate goods. Who can tell me what intermediate goods are? Don't be shy.
Goods that could be used to make other goods, like let's say a screw. It's not raw materials, but it's used to make like more expensive projects.
Absolutely. So a company is not going to bring in a bunch of metal for their making refrigerators, and then out of that metal, they're not going to make screws. They can actually buy the screws and the bolts and the nuts and all that stuff from another company that specializes in that, and they can do it a lot cheaper by doing that. For example, in some of the refrigerators, they don't make the ice makers. They just buy the ice makers from another company that does nothing but make ice makers. And so those would be type intermediate goods, okay? So the manufacturing, marketing, and sales, so it's split up a little bit differently, but it's the same thing, okay? So manufacturing and services are a little bit different. Not much different, but a little bit, okay? So resources are all the assets, capabilities, organizational processes, firm attributes, information, knowledge, and so on, controlled by a firm that enable the firm to conceive of and implement strategies that improve efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, these are terms in your books that you're going to need to know. Assets, tangible or intangible resources or factors or products that create economic value for the firm. So an asset is an economic value for the firm. And the four categories are physical resources, financial resources, human resources, and intangible resources. Okay, so these definitions are very important. I already posted them for you. You should have already read them and you're going to know them. Competitive parity, when a company survives but has no real competitive advantage over its rivals. So in many industries, this is very common. In my industry, with people selling all different types of copiers, the multifunctional machines that copy, fax, print, and scan. Companies survive. Nobody really has a competitive advantage. Everything's all priced about the same. The products all have about the same features. There's nothing really outstanding, nothing really special. But everybody survives, and and nobody really has a real competitive advantage. Okay, any questions about this so far? No? Okay, so we're going to get into VRIO. valuable, rare, imitable, and organized. Okay, so you guys read the chapter, you know all about this, right? Yes, you do. Okay, so if to create competitive advantage, you need all four of these. Value need to be valuable, rare, imitable, and organized. And I'll go over the definitions of what all this stuff does. So when a resource is valuable, it's providing the organization with some sort of benefit. However, a resource that is valuable and doesn't fit into any of the other dimensions of the framework is not a competitive advantage. So for example, say that Nike has $2 billion sitting offshore that they're not going to bring it in the United States. And so instead of that, they decide to buy $2 billion worth of gold to hold. So even though gold is very valuable to Nike, that is not a resource that they would use to make products or do anything with or to do marketing. Actually, Nike doesn't make anything. Nike's a marketing company, by the way. They sell a lot of stuff, but they don't make anything. Okay. Rare, a resource that is uncommon, not possessed by most organizations, is rare. When a resource is both valuable and rare, you have a resource that gives you a competitive advantage. So not necessarily diamonds are a rare commodity, but De Beers makes them rare by the way they have control over the market. So what they do is they only release a few diamonds here and there, and it keeps them, that keeps the demand high and it keeps the availability low. Somebody needed to say something? No? Inimitable resources are hard to imitate if they are extremely expensive for other organizations to acquire them. A resource may also be hard for an organization to imitate if it's protected by legal means, such as patents or trademarks. So the pharmaceutical companies do this quite a bit. They'll get a patent for a drug and have it for several number of years. Nobody can make that type of drug. And then when it becomes generic, everybody, or when it becomes the patent release, it becomes generic and everybody can make a generic thing. Xerox for many, many, many years had the only patents on making a photoconductor copier. So they had a copying machine. That's how they were able to embed themselves into the industry, and they didn't have any competition for a number of years. And being complacent, they sat on their laurels and just did nothing afterwards. And I'll show you the story about them and Apple later. Organize an organization's resources and organize to capture value only if it's supported by the process, structure, and culture of the company. So example, we talked about Zoom a little bit this morning. So Zoom was in a place where when the economy went to shit, everybody had to do online learning. They were actually set up to capture that market because they had the infrastructure already in place. They had the easy to use platform that all you had to do was follow a link and log on to it. So I have I have the access to the software, and all you have to do is follow a link, right? I mean, and it's all done online. So you can't make it much simpler than that. But it is kind of funny watching old people try and get onto Zoom and use it. All right. Is the resource or capabilities? Is there commonly a company well? So valuable, rare, imitable, organized. And if you have yes, if you can answer yes to all those, you will have a sustained competitive advantage. Many companies just have one or a couple of these and they still do okay. I mean, you don't have to have all four of them to be this great company, even though some great companies do. Okay. So remember the Cobra beer that we talked about? What makes Cobra valuable? And yes, you can participate now.
It's a unique beer because it goes well with Indian food.
Absolutely. So they made it so it pairs well with Indian food. What else did they do? What else makes a brand valuable? Beer has a lot. Remember, beer. There's a lot of competition in the market for beer.
They have a lot of subdivisions or like brand extensions. Like
They have different brand extensions. Yeah, exactly. So they're hitting different markets, right? And maybe something that they did with their formula, right? For the beer is kind of unique. Not everybody's copying that. Okay. So apparently Selena Gomez has some product called Rare, so I use her Rare thing. Have no idea. So what is rare about Cobra beer? George, you look like you want to tell me.
I feel like what is rare about Cobra beer is that you can't find it everywhere. So when you do find it, you actually want to try out the beer.
Absolutely. That's a good answer. So it's rare in the way that it's formulated and it's not readily available like Heineken. It's not mass produced. It's produced in the country where it's fresh. Okay. Capable or worthy of being imitated or copied. So how many other beers are out there trying to copy Cobra? So who's pandering to the Indian food market? Probably not too many, right? Maybe one or two other local breweries, very small breweries. Okay.
Given the size of India, I would imagine that there should be quite a few, but that's where you have like the causal relationships that De Beers has, or not De Beers, but yeah, that the company has that, just because their beer pairs well with Indian food, that's not the only key to their success.
Yeah, absolutely. So so there may be a little bit of competition, but there's nobody on their size as far as how big they are, because they've gotten a little bit bigger than just a mom and pop local brewery. Okay. Organize. We've been talking about Organize. Difficult to substitute. Is the company? How is the leadership of the company? Is the brand well known? Partnerships. They went into partnership with Molson Coors. So they're using the money that they get, financial position, and to create a global presence. Okay. So all of these things make the business unique. If they're organized to grow, they have some inventive ideas, and that would be the difference between the Cobra and other beer brands. Okay. Yes, I know how you guys love breakout rooms. You guys ready? Okay. I'm going to do a breakout room and have you guys. I'll put this in the chat box. Where's the little chat getter? Here we go. All right, so you got there. All right, I'm going to send you to the breakout rooms. Don't forget to put your names on the paper, just like we did last week. And this is just going to be a short little exercise. I'm going to spend about maybe 5-10 minutes on it. And then I'll monitor. What's that?
Professor, it says we need access to the doc. We have to like request access.
Did I do that wrong again? Okay, hold on. Okay, one person from each group just ask for access, and then I will give it to you. And then I'll just send you to your breakout rooms right now. We'll do a short little exercise. All right. And then I'll see if I can change it. Hold on. Copy link. All right, let's do this. All right. Andrew, what group are you supposed to be in?
Hi, Professor. I had technical issues, so I barely was able to log in.
All right. Can you go back to group 10?
Sure.
All right. Hello, Andalib. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Professor?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Okay, give everybody a few moments here. All right. So what did we find out about Cobra beer? So the product itself is valuable. Go ahead, Kenneth.
Yeah, because it offers like a unique thing that it's kind of like a complementary product with Indian food. It goes well together, and that serves value for the company and the consumers. So I put yeah for valuable.
Absolutely. So, for example, we talked about tangible and intangible assets of the company. So the product itself, yes, it's valuable. Yes, and then difficult to substitute? No, not really. And most of you caught on to that. And the competitive advantage is sustainable. Okay. So the financial strength of the company, yes, it's valuable. No, it's not really rare. Many companies are merging with larger, the smaller breweries are merging with larger breweries to make their product. The competitive advantage is only temporarily, because what's going to happen in most cases when you merge like that, you lose your autonomy, you lose your what's special stuff that you had. Excuse me. So eventually, when they're going to merge, they're going to become part of Coors, Molson, and they're probably going to lose a little bit of their identity. They might be able to keep one or two of their specialty beers, but other than that, most likely they'll lose everything else. Brand image, right now they have a very good brand image. Going into new countries, people have heard of them. It's a little bit rare when it comes into a certain country, but they can sustain that competitive advantage with its rarity and its brand image. Okay, and intellectual assets, the way that they brew their beer, their formula, it's not going to be easily imitated. Okay. All right. We got about 5 minutes left. So let's end here, and then Wednesday we'll talk more about Disneyland. We got a whole slew of stuff to go over. For a few of you people that a few of the students that turned in their assignments that I told them to see me or gave them a really low score, so they'll want to see me. I did that on purpose, so you'll come and talk to me. I will talk to you after we're done here, and then we'll go over and resolve any issues that you have. And then for, let's see here. Anybody else, if you want to hang around, I'm only going to be here until 10 o'clock today because I have other stuff I do, so I'm not going to do any office hours. If you need to talk to me, email me and we'll do an office hour separately. Okay, so everybody, thank you very much for coming. We'll see you soon.
Is there a mini quick case this week or not?
Absolutely. There's a mini quick case every Monday morning.
No, not the mini quiz paper, the mini case.
Yes, mini case. Well, no, it was every other week we do it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Your syllabus, and it'll be the next one will be in another week.
Professor, I just wanted to ask you about approval to be in a group. So I'm in section 32, and I didn't realize that you sent out a new link for the projects, for the project groups. So I had just been looking at the one Dennis sent out for section 32.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to add myself into a group until like it seems like everyone else had figured out what group they wanted to be in. So I ended up just getting into a group with what it seems like mostly people from the other section, section 31. And I just wanted to make sure that's fine.
As long as you guys can communicate effectively, I don't care what group you're in.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You're welcome. All right. Questions, concerns?
Hi, Professor. I had a really fast question about the plagiarism rate. So for the paper I turned this morning, I got an 11%, but when I checked the report, it's literally just because of my title and my citation of the news article I found. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine, but generally you want to keep it under 10.
Yeah, none of my like actual writing got marked as any plagiarism though.
Okay, good, because I had a lot of them in the 20s, the high 20s, the 30s, and even one as high as 89.
Okay.
So anything, yeah, if you're copying some of the words or some of the other stuff that is a main thing to everybody else, then yes, it's gonna go up to 5 or 6% or even 10.
Okay, thank you.
Be careful with that. Okay.
Hi, I had a problem with that too. I had a lower score because it was like 21%, but it was just me writing down the questions.
Okay.
Was I not supposed to write questions?
Which one was it for? The mini case or the
This is the mini case.
the quiz? For the
Yeah.
one-page paper, or the two-page paper?
Walmart.
Okay,
Walmart.
so email me and remind me which one it was, and then I will double check that. But for the most part, you want to make sure that, because most people came up with 0, especially on the one-page paper.
Mm-hmm.
Their safe assign was 0 or under 5%.
So I shouldn't write down the questions then, right?
Don't write down the questions word for word, just rephrase them as you would. Okay.
Also, sorry, one more thing. Jocelyn emailed you about all of us, it being okay for all of us to be in a group. But then when I looked at the thing, like someone placed me in group 3, but like I never placed myself in group 3.
I did not do that.
Okay, I just wanted, because there's one person that's not supposed to be in our group, like for group number 7.
Okay, we'll discuss that with Dennis,
Okay.
and then you guys can make arrangement to boot that person out.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mean. All right. Questions? Mealy, I can barely see your eyes. Move your camera down.
Hi, Professor. You told me you left a note on my mini quiz paper 1 saying, I guess I realize now that I didn't do it right. So you're saying to see you to redo it?
Okay, if you know what you did wrong, then redo it and then turn it in.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Welcome. Question, Suzanne, are you asleep? Look at Dennis, she's asleep.